300. That is the number everyone knows, the number that has survived 2,500 years. The number printed on movie posters, carved into textbooks, repeated so many times it has stopped meaning anything. Here is what that number actually means. In August of the year 480 BC, the largest army ever assembled in the ancient world, 300,000 men, possibly more, was stopped for 3 full days by a force it outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Not stopped because of courage, not stopped because the gods intervened, stopped because of 15 meters of rock. At its narrowest point, the pass at Thermopylae, the Hot Gates, is 50 feet wide. At that width, an army of 300,000 men is functionally the same size as an army of 300. They can only bring 20 soldiers into contact at a time. The numbers become irrelevant. The pass was the weapon. The Spartans were just the men who understood how to hold it. And then someone told Xerxes about the path around it. Here is how Thermopylae actually worked. Here is where you would have stood. And here, broken down precisely, is whether you would have survived. If you stayed on day 3, survival rate, 0%. If you were among the Allied troops who retreated on the morning of day 3, before the encirclement closed, 68%. If you were a Thespian who chose to remain, 0%. If you were a Theban soldier who surrendered, 45%, but you would not go home free. The question is not whether the 300 were brave. The question is, which one were you? Now let's place you. It is August of the year 480 BC. The air smells of sulfur. The hot springs that give this place its name rise from the ground nearby. It mingles with wood smoke and salt from the sea less than 50 meters to your right, and the particular smell of tens of thousands of unwashed soldiers living in close quarters. You have been here for 2 days already, waiting. You are carrying 27 kilograms of equipment. Your hoplon shield alone weighs 8 kilograms. Your dory spear is 2.5 meters long and requires one hand to manage. Your helmet covers your entire face except for a narrow slit for your eyes. In August heat, in southern Greece, the temperature inside that helmet is approaching 40 degrees Celsius. Your position in the phalanx determines everything about your experience of this battle. If you are in the front rank, you will be in direct contact with the Persian line within minutes of the fighting starting. If you are in the second or third rank, you will be pushing against the back of the man in front of you, using your body weight and your shield to drive the formation forward. This technique is called othismos, the pushing, the grinding. It is not elegant. It is not the movie. It is 2 walls of human bodies pressing against each other, and whoever loses their footing first begins to die. To your left, 2 miles down the road, is the Persian camp. You cannot count the fires. You have tried. Herodotus, the Greek historian who interviewed survivors within living memory of the events, writes that when the Persian fleet sailed into the nearby bay, it was so large it blotted out the horizon. He notes, perhaps with some exaggeration, that their arrows would blot out the sun. A Spartan soldier responded, "Then we shall fight in the shade. You do not know whether you have that kind of composure. You are about to find out." Before the first Persian soldier reaches you, you need to understand what you are actually facing. The popular image of the Persian army is a mob, disorganized, overwhelming only by sheer numbers. This is exactly backward. The Achaemenid Empire in the year 480 BC was the largest political entity in human history to that point. Its army had been fighting professional wars for over a century. The elite of this army were the Immortals, 10,000 infantry, so named because every casualty was immediately replaced. They had been the shock troops of the Persian Empire for 50 years. They carried composite bows capable of accurate fire at 150 meters. At close range, they fought with short spears and the akinakis, a short iron sword. They were, by any reasonable measure, among the finest soldiers alive in the year 480 BC. And here is why, in this particular pass, that didn't matter. The Persian infantry carried a spear roughly 2 meters long. Your dory is 2.5 meters. That half-meter difference means a Persian soldier's spear tip cannot reach your shield before your spear tip reaches his throat. He is being killed by a weapon he cannot touch. At 15 meters wide, with no room to sidestep, there is no tactical answer to that problem. The Greek phalanx was devastating head-on in a narrow passage, but it had one structural vulnerability: the flanks. If the enemy could get around the side of the formation, the shields that locked together facing forward became useless. At Thermopylae, the flanks were protected by the geography. For 2 days, they would hold. The battle begins on the morning of the first day with a sound you have never heard before and will not have words for afterward. 300,000 men moving toward a position held by 7,000. The ground vibrates. The Persian commanders send the Medes forward first. Soldiers from the provinces, capable fighters but not the empire's elite. Xerxes sends them with the explicit instruction to bring the Greeks back alive. They enter the pass. The pass narrows. Their formation compresses. The front ranks find themselves facing a wall of overlapping Greek shields, locked edge to edge, iron spear tips projecting forward at chest height. Behind the shields, they cannot see the men who are killing them. The Spartan tactic involves the deliberate false retreat. The line gives ground, drawing the Persians forward into a confused press. Then it turns. The phalanx reforms. The spears come down. By early afternoon on day 1, the Medes have taken catastrophic losses and withdrawn. You have survived. Your right arm, the one holding the shield, has been shaking for 4 hours. The shoulder joint has a deep burn that does not go away. Your throat is raw from heat and dust. The man to your left took a spear through the foot and is still in the line, because leaving the line means the shield wall breaks. Xerxes watches from a raised platform above the pass. Herodotus notes that the Persian king stood up 3 times in alarm during the day's fighting. That evening, you eat salted fish and barley. You sleep on your cloak on the ground. Day 2 brings the immortals. Same problem, same pass, same result. Xerxes has now thrown his best soldiers at this position twice. They have failed twice. What he does next will end the battle, but not the way you expect. By midday on day 2, the immortals have withdrawn. You know something that afternoon that you have not allowed yourself to think directly. No relief force is coming. The Spartans are at war during the festival of Carnea, a sacred period during which Spartan law forbids military campaigning. The 300 standing in this pass are all Leonidas could bring without violating that law. The rest of the Peloponnesian forces are still mobilizing. The Athenian fleet is fighting its own battle at the nearby Straits of Artemisium, and those men have their own problems. You are 7,000 soldiers holding a pass against the Persian Empire, and the rest of Greece is not here yet. That night, the sounds from the Persian camp are different. You cannot identify why. Later, you will understand that you are hearing the immortals being equipped for a night march. You sleep badly. You wake before dawn to a runner coming fast from the north. His name was Ephialtes, a local man, a Greek, from the region of Malis, whose people lived in the mountains above the pass that their neighbors were dying to hold. Herodotus gives him the motive that all betrayal requires. He wanted a reward. Ephialtes told Xerxes about the Anapia Trail, a mountain path that wound over the ridge of Kallidromos and descended directly behind the Greek position, 12 miles through difficult terrain, local knowledge required. The immortals had been marching it through the night. The Phocian troops guarding that path heard them coming and retreated to higher ground, a reasonable decision when faced with 10,000 professional soldiers in the dark. They sent a runner to Leonidas. The runner arrived at dawn. Here is what that moment looks like from your position in the pass. You see Leonidas, the Spartan king, a man in his 50s who has spent his entire life training for exactly this. Receive the message, speak briefly with his officers, and turn to address the allied contingents. He dismisses them. The Corinthians leave. The Arcadians leave. The Mantineans, the Mycenaeans, the men from Phlius and Hermione, they leave. Leonidas sends them south, away from the closing trap, toward Greece, toward Salamis, toward the war that has not been decided yet. The Spartans stay. 700 Thespians stay with them, refusing to abandon their allies. 400 Thebans remain, under compulsion, held as a guarantee of Theban loyalty to the Greek cause. Many of them will surrender when the position collapses. The window to leave is now, and it is closing. It is the morning of day 3. The mountain path has been turned. The immortals are 2 hours behind you. You have 4 options. Option 1. Stay. This is Leonidas' choice. He is a Spartan king. Spartan law and culture leave him no other option he can live with, though he will not, as it happens, live long regardless. The remaining Greeks retreat to a small hill called Kolonos at the end of the pass. They fight until the Persians surround the position and fire arrows from elevated ground until no one is standing. Xerxes, so furious at what 3 days in that pass cost him, orders Leonidas's body decapitated and mounted on a cross, a significant violation of Persian norms regarding fallen enemies. It tells you, more precisely than any casualty figure, what the battle had taken from him. Survival rate, 0%. Option 2, retreat with the allies. The window is 3 hours. Leonidas has dismissed you. You have permission and you have time, and the road south is open. If you leave now, you survive the land battle. You fight 2 months later at the naval battle of Salamis, where the Athenian fleet destroys the Persian navy and forces Xerxes to withdraw. You fight the following year at Plataea, where the Persian land army is defeated and its general Mardonius is killed. The Greeks who retreated from Thermopylae won the war. Survival rate, 68%. Option 3, surrender. Some Theban soldiers reportedly threw down their weapons when the position collapsed. The sources debate their sincerity. Persian practice allowed surrender in some circumstances. But surviving did not mean going home. The Thebans who surrendered were marked. Literally, Persian soldiers branded them with the royal stamp, a hot iron pressed into the skin, the mark of a man who now belonged to the empire. Not a prisoner awaiting exchange. Property. Survival rate, 45%. But you do not go home free. You go home owned. Option 4, the sea. The Malian Gulf runs alongside the pass. Escape by water was physically possible. There is no documented account of any Greek soldier escaping this way. The fact that no one tried tells you how fast the position collapsed. The mathematically correct choice is obvious. Leave on day 3. Fight at Salamis. Live. Most of the Greeks made that choice. We just don't remember their names. On the morning of August the 20th, in the year 480 BC, the pass at Thermopylae was in Persian hands. It had cost Xerxes approximately 20,000 dead, possibly more. The ancient sources disagree and likely exaggerate in both directions. The Greek losses, including the final stand, numbered in the low thousands. 2 months later, the Athenian admiral Themistocles lured the Persian fleet into the narrow straits of Salamis. Geography again, the same tactical logic, a confined space that neutralized Persian numbers and destroyed it. Xerxes retreated to Persia. The following year, at the Battle of Plataea, the Greek land army defeated and killed Mardonius, ending the invasion. Greece survived. The democratic experiment survived. The political tradition that would become the foundation of every Western democracy survived. It survived because several thousand men retreated on the morning of day 3 and lived to fight again. And at the site of the battle, over the bodies of the men who did not retreat, the poet Simonides placed a single inscription: "Go, tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie." Thermopylae did not fall to 300,000 soldiers. It fell to one man who knew a path. 2,500 years later, we are still telling that story. Not because the 300 won, but because of what they chose, when every rational calculation said otherwise. That is how Thermopylae actually worked. That is where you would have stood, and that is exactly how you would have survived, or not. If this is the kind of history you want to understand, real odds, real decisions, real consequences, subscribe. Every video puts you in the middle of a historical event and gives you the honest answer about your chances. The question is always the same: could you have survived?